Now that we have our timeline ready, we'll send it off to Resolve via XML. We'll create an XML by going to File, then Export XML. We'll leave the settings at their default and just click Save. Now we have an XML that we should easily be able to import into Resolve. Just as an FYI, the process is similar in Final Cut Pro 7 and we can also export Final Cut Pro XMLs from Adobe Premiere. Now in Resolve, we'll go directly to the Edit page. To import our newly created XML, we'll right-click under the Timeline section, find our XML, and click Open. I'll leave the options at their default, and then click OK. And bon appetit! We didn't get any error messages in this case, and our media relinked just fine. But if we did get any errors, then we could troubleshoot in a couple different ways. Depending on the error message, we may be able to fix the problem by going back to the project file, make the necessary changes, and export a new XML. Or if that doesn't work, we can use the editing tools in the Edit page to make the necessary changes to match with our offline. Speaking of which, let me bring that up. Going to the Media page, I'll locate the self-contained reference video that we saved earlier. Right-click on it and choose Add as Offline Clip. Then coming back to the Edit page, we'll call up the offline clip by right-clicking on the timeline and choosing Link with Offline Clip. Next, all we need to do is change the source mode to offline in the viewer window, and then drag the playhead around to make sure that we have a perfect match. Okay, now we're ready to grade. Once color grading is complete, we're ready to round trip back to our editing application. The reason we're doing this is so that we can deliver the project back to the client in the same form we received it, only this time the graded version will link to the graded files. So we'll first need to render it out. From the Deliver page, we'll choose Final Cut Pro XML Round Trip under the Easy Setup, and what this will do is it will automatically create a new XML that links to the graded files. Then we'll choose a destination. I always make sure to create a special folder for my rendered files. In this case, I've created a folder called Renders. I'll pick it and then click OK. It's also a really good idea to add frame handles. What this simply means is that we can add some pre-roll and post-roll to each clip for convenience to the client. That way, if they decide to do a little bit more editorial or make a complete new edit, they'll have those extra frames of pre-roll and post-roll to assist them with their editing. I'll just add 12 frame handles, but you can choose any amount that you'd like. Then click Add Job, and then Start Render. Once the rendering is complete, we can verify this in the Finder by going to the Renders folder. And here we'll see the graded files, as well as the new XML that Resolve created linking to them. With the new XML, we can now round trip back to our editing application for finishing and delivery. Toggling over to Final Cut, I will import the XML from Resolve by going to File, Import, then XML. We'll find the XML that Resolve just created, and then click Import. Just as an FYI, it's the same procedure for importing XMLs in Final Cut 7 and Adobe Premiere. The XML from Resolve is now imported, and we've successfully round-tripped our project with the rendered grades being referenced by the new XML. The big advantages with round-tripping are that finishing effects, such as titling and composite effects, can be easily reapplied, and further editorial changes can be made if the client wishes. If there were any custom effects, we can jump back to the original project and copy those items to the new one. And perhaps the biggest advantage to round tripping is if we need to make any additional grading changes, we can jump back to Resolve, make a correction, go back to the Deliver page, set it to render out just that clip, add job, start render, toggle back to Final Cut, and voila! The project automatically refreshes with the updated change. Once the project is complete and we've gotten final client approval, then we can deliver the graded project back to the client the same way we received it, as either a library for Final Cut 10, or in media or project managed form like in the case of Final Cut 7 and Adobe Premiere. In conclusion, when possible, I suggest that you try to get the client to share the project file with you. That way, as the colorist, you can make any necessary changes to the timeline before you send it off to Resolve. And then once the project is graded, you can round trip back to the editor for finishing and delivery. Round tripping is a really powerful strategy that you and your client will love. Thank you for watching.